welcome to Success Sakes. This is a very special one for me for sure because we have our first guest. And our first guest is somebody who is my brother for sure, but somebody who's inspired me on my journey so much. And, you know, I've looked at his journey coming from where he's come from and going through the things that he's gone through. An incredible football player, but that's just one facet of him. Of course, highly recruited out of high school, played linebacker and running back, but also played defensive end, and then came to Texas and went from defensive end to D tackle, and boom, left all Big 12, boom, came in, drafted second round, boom, all rookie team. The man's just killing it, 8 years in the league, and now he's an entrepreneur and building businesses and stuff. It's my pleasure and my honor to introduce Lamarr Houston, my brother.
Well, thank you, P. I appreciate that. Philip Payne.
Don't you love that intro? I really
There's a lot of enthusiasm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I appreciate that, man.
Man, I appreciate you for doing this. Because this is something I've been working on for a minute and trying to do it. And Troy has been so instrumental in pushing me to get to a place where I can truly try to create and try to help people with my story, and of course with the people that I know and the relationships that I have and the network that I have to share other people's stories. So it's been dope.
I love it, man. I love what you're doing. It's a great idea, and people should be able to see what, you know, it takes to get where people are today.
Definitely, and just not trying to put myself in a box, bro, because I think you can relate to just when you're good at being an athlete and being somebody who has expectations to make it to the league and to provide for your family. It's like you can get constraint in a place of like pressure of like, yo, I'm supposed to be this and I can't, you know, step out and do other things. So to see you, you know, do your stint in the NFL, but you've always kind of had the mindset of an entrepreneur mindset of like wanting to build more and do more. Where did you get that from?
I would say probably my dad, my mom and dad. They, you know, they had their own mom and pop shop type businesses. Like my mom, she had a home daycare. My dad did, you know, any type of handy job you needed. He hauled things, you know, he poured driveways, did sidewalks, and had his own kind of, you know, construction company, which we, you know, helped run. So my parents were kind of natural entrepreneurs, and they kind of, you know, groomed me into wanting to run businesses and have more than just being an athlete and things like that. You know, they always loved talking about, you know, how Shaq was doing this and Magic Johnson was doing that, you know, buying these franchises and different people were doing franchise. And, you know, they would tell me the Karl Malone story about him and the trucking. And, you know, so my parents were always kind of pushing entrepreneurial stories in front of me, and as well as they were doing their own mom and pop businesses.
That's dope, because a lot of, especially in our community as Black people, we don't have a lot of examples, you know what I'm saying, of people that are close to us really, really going after it on their own and not depending on the corporations and not depending on people to give them a job. So that's a blessing that you were able to see that from your parents. They're like, yo.
Yeah, my dad actually, he used to detail cars for movies. Wow. When we lived in California when I was growing up.
That's crazy. So
like back in the day, all those cars like used to get, you know, blown up or crashed into. My dad used to like detail some of them.
That's crazy. Can you tell us a little bit about living in San Francisco? You were born in San Francisco, right? And then you moved to Colorado?
Yeah, I was born in San Francisco. I lived in Oakland, Hercules, Vallejo. I have a big family, and most of the times when I was growing up, you know, back in the day, it's different now. You know, people lose their homes and stuff, and they just like either go homeless or like, you know, just, basically live on the street. So with my family, when we would lose our place, like we would just move in with other families. So I have a family that I was close with that has a family of 3. We moved into their apartment in San Francisco, probably back in like, I say 90, it had to be like 91, 92. Moved out of there, moved up to Sacramento. I have 7 siblings, so we all lived in the house, like a 3-bedroom house. Shared the room. My older brothers and my sisters shared a room. Then we moved down to Hercules, to a bigger house, and then that family that we moved in with before had lost their place and had to move with us. All these things.
That's kind of like that's kind of why you so good at sharing, dog, and making sure people are good, because I'm telling you, like when I look at it, because I'm naturally a selfish person. I'll be real with you. I'm naturally selfish because I kind of grew up like the only child.
Yeah. Well, you were, right? Well, in a way.
Yeah, in a way, but my brother and my sister are way older than me. So
Got you.
I was just raised with my mom, so like a lot of the stuff I just didn't really, sharing wasn't a first instinct for me.
Yeah.
But with Lai, it's like that's just how he always been, because you kind of had to share with all your family plus more, you know what I'm saying?
Plus so kids who like my cousins.
Yeah, so family was always important to you. Now it all makes sense, because when we were in college, we were the 4 horsemen. You know, we all got this tattoo.
That's a tattoo?
Me.
Oh, Lamar's got one too?
Yeah, me, La, and Sherrod and Ben, and also Serge. We added some people in it, because it was more of a movement. Vondrell. It was more of a movement than anything. And for us to all still like have relationships and still be close, it's like that's something that he created, because he was just like, family was always important to you. But now it definitely understand, like it makes more sense, like seeing, how you grew up having your family, then having another family. Boom. Yeah.
And then my mom, we were in California. There used to be these 2 single mothers who had 2 kids.
Uh-huh.
And so my mom would watch those 4 kids for the 2 single mothers when they worked overnight. So they would work like night jobs, like, like 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning, or, they were working like midnight to noon. Yeah. And we would have those kids in our house, and we would take them all to school. And, basically my mom was running a house daycare. Yeah. So there'd be like 15 kids in my house at any given moment.
Did that ever add any pressure on you to make it to the league?
You know what? Nah, because it just seemed like a fun place with a bunch of people.
It was like, nah,
I didn't really realize I was poor until like I got to school in Colorado and went to school, and then started talking. Really, I didn't really realize I was poor until I got to probably about high school. Like, you're in high school, you start talking to people, and then they say, "Oh yeah, your mattress is on the floor." What? Like, oh, your mattress is on the floor. Oh, okay. You start going to people's houses, and they got things called pantries and shit. You got the seasoning cabinet.
You're like, yo, what is this? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you start, so it never really I just always wanted to play in the league. Like, since I was 2 years old, I told my parents I was going to play in the league. I always wanted to play in the league. Now, it wasn't necessarily because my family was in their situation.
That's the thing. I think everybody, especially if you go to a Division I school and you're super highly recruited, you know that you're going to the league. Mm-hmm. Like from a baby.
You're supposed to. Like that's how it feels.
But there is no not going.
Yeah. I never doubted. I really never doubted.
It just goes the way that it just goes like this. And some people hit this like, oh shit, I'm not going. Yeah. And you might hit it at elementary, you might hit it at middle school, you might hit it at high school, you might hit it at college, you might hit it at but you gonna hit it eventually. You know what I'm saying? That you just, oh shit, I'm either not going or I got to find some other shit to do because my shit hurt. My knee hurt. My shit hurt. I can't do this.
It's catching up.
I can't do this forever. Nah, that makes sense. Dog.
So was So what age were you when y'all moved to Colorado?
I was 9 years old.
Okay. So and I'm jumping.
So I just finished second grade. I was going to third grade. I started school when I was 6. So I started kindergarten when I was 6.
Got you.
I was busy.
So just
parents were smart for that.
I feel that for sure.
Yeah. So jumping forward just a little bit, was it like sentimental in a way getting drafted by Oakland and going back home to play?
Actually, yeah, it was, because all the people from like my early childhood who like knew me since I was born still live there. Like the pastors who see me straight out the hospital when I was born still live there. We're still alive. The kids that I grew up with, those kids that I lived in the house with, still live there. A lot of people from the church that we went to church with still live there. So it was like a homecoming in a sense. Most people don't know that I was from Colorado because that I'm from California, because they always see me as, from Colorado and then, going straight to Texas. So a lot of people don't even know that.
Very true.
And so like Payne was saying earlier, so you played, in high school, which I think is kind of common, right? You're playing offense, defense, star running back, star basketball player. You're playing defensive end, right?
I was like a C-roll basketball player. I wasn't quite star, but I averaged
okay.
10,
I did a little bit.
No, I would know. I remember we played a couple months ago.
If I would have played basketball, I definitely went D2.
Yeah.
Adams State. Done dunked and blew my knees out. Shit's been there. Been a high school basketball coach and shit, but I chose to play football.
Yeah.
Mad athletic. I ain't gonna front. Mad athletic to be running.
No, I did used to run the 1-2 hurdles, though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Moving that fast and catching running backs from behind. Shit is. I think that's kind of why when I saw you and Serge and Rockpo and just niggas that big moving that fast, I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Running 4.5, 4.6, that's fast, bro. To be moving at 300, 290, 260, that's fast.
Yeah, it's crazy. So how did you end up at UT?
Man, basically prayer. I prayed about it. My mom prayed about it. Coach Brown got a mouthpiece. He talked you into some things. But I just felt comfortable there. The funny thing is, I went to the Dallas-Fort Worth Spark Nike camp with Philip and Sherrod.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I didn't know them at the time. And then from there, I drove down to Austin with my parents, and they convinced us that was like a short drive, which it wasn't.
3 hours.
So then we drove back from there all the way to Colorado Springs, and that'd be like a 20-hour drive. But I drove down, I saw the campus. I talked to Coach Brown. We met with the coaches. It was a summertime, and I just felt comfortable there. I liked it there. My whole dream was to play for Texas A&M and then play for the Cowboys. So my whole dream was to play for a Texas school and then end up playing for the Cowboys. But that was the better school at the time, and just the other schools that I got offered with just didn't feel real genuine. My recruiter from SC was Lane Kiffin, so he was a dick, and like him. And then, LSU was cool, and Notre Dame was like talking about making me a D lineman off top, and I wasn't comfortable with that. I was a running back and a linebacker. Like, you better tell me something I'm going to be doing athletic, or we might not be talking. So like when it came down to it, Nebraska, same thing. They want me to play D line, and it's just like, out of those schools, Texas just was the best choice for me.
So
I was more comfortable with it.
So what was it like going from D to DN to D lineman? Like, how was that mentally? Were you okay with it, or like was there some hesitation?
I mean, there was hesitation because I rather had been playing linebacker, because the whole thing is like, motherfucker can't see.
Yeah.
You can't see. I'm used to standing up and seeing like everything that's going on. I can just react. playing with your hand in the ground, like you look up, you can only really see the person across from you. You can't see in the backfield. You can't see what the quarterback doing. You can't see nothing. So it's like I just wasn't comfortable not being able to see.
Yeah.
And so, when I first got to Texas, that's why they had to teach me how to do 3-point stance and everything because I had never done that. Like since I played Pee Wee, I always been a running back, always been linebacker. Just played Pee Wee football. Was like for like 2 years I played D-line.
Was there like a moment?
As I got to high school, went back to standing up.
Was there like a moment where you was like, okay, I'm gonna be able to do this at a high level? Like when you were in D-line, like was there a moment where you was like, oh yeah, this is okay, I bet.
When I got moved from DN to D tackle, and I was like 275.
Yeah.
And I came out and I balled one game. That game was the Florida Atlantic game or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, now I could do it. So I could play DN, I could play D tackle. I'm finna go to the league. I'm finna be like John Randall, just like Mad Dog said, small ass D tackle.
Okay, I'm finna go.
Just gotta stay out of trouble.
I'm gonna go.
That's when I decided to start doing extra workouts and stuff, though.
Definitely. I think that's something that I saw.
I was always doing that, but
with you,
I started skipping class for it.
I'm telling you, dog, but you kind of have to make a decision at that
who
point
told
when
me
you're
that, though?
in Division I.
You remember what's this guy? I don't want to embarrass the man. You remember what's the black man's name who used to be at the study hall? What was his name?
I know who you're talking about, but I forgot. Bald head.
Yeah, bald head.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say Ty. I don't know. I don't think his name was Ty, but it was something.
Yeah.
But he told me one day, and he was like, "Look, we have some football players here who are really smart."
Yeah.
He's like, "Lamarr, you've been doing a great job. You've been on the honor roll. I see you in here. You're studying. But he's like, let me tell you this." None of the guys on the team that are guys with high GPAs are first-round draft picks. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, name me one of the guys that got really good grades. I dropped some names. He's like, none of those dudes are first-round draft picks. I said, wow. Okay. So they may go to the league, but they're not first-round draft picks. He said, you're going to have to spend your time doing more football stuff than this school stuff. I understand your parents want you to have good grades and you want to have good grades. All that is great. But he's like, if you want to be a first-round draft pick, you're going to have to let this school shit go and start doing some more football stuff.
Period.
And I was like, damn.
Because just where your energy is.
Like, cool. Like, I gotta start missing class sometimes to get these extra cleans in the morning, or like I'm gonna miss class. So I'm gonna go right up to Pflugerville, do some extra boxing. Like, it became where I started, substituting some of my classes with working out.
Yeah, because the demand of it, you can't keep that type of consistency and quality of work on both of them, not at the same time.
But did you know, like back then, like the drive for school, like you were saying, it came, from your parents wanting to have good grades and stuff too. But were you already, do you think, lining up, thinking about all the things you wanted to do besides just football? Or at that time, was it?
I mean, when I was a kid, and Philip talks about, us being less fortunate in the summer times, I used to just take the lawnmower, fill up the gas tank, go around the neighborhood making 20 a pop.
Yeah.
Do about 20 houses. Make me about, make me a couple $100 in the summertime, save that up, get new school clothes for myself and stuff like that every summer. And then one summer I ended up working to where I met this Asian lady and she was paying me cash. And I was working at the little like flea market down there in the city every summer on a Saturday, making about, $70, $80 to $100 cash from her. So now it's on top of me, doing my little lawnmower thing in the neighborhood. You hit every house about 2 weeks. Summertime, you get it for 2-3 times. So, but yeah, that's, I started doing that. And then when I was a kid, I used to do junior achievement. You remember junior achievement?
Mm-hmm.
me and my parents talk about this all the time. One time, I had this junior achievement class in Colorado Springs, and I came up with this idea for a mobile veterinarian, and the dude was from Merrill Lynch, and he's like, what did you say? I was like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if the vet, because like I used to go, when I first moved to Colorado Springs, I lived in a place called Black Forest. Yeah. And Black Forest is like one of those town country places where like your next neighbor is like 6 miles. Like, wow. You know, you don't see a house for like another 6 miles, and then like your back neighbor's like 5-6 acres, and you can't see a fence until you get way in there. So it's like this real rural kind of place where it's like a lot of farms, a lot of stuff. So a lot of the kids I went to elementary with lived on a farm. They had cows and horses and stuff. So I told the guy, I was like, well, how come the veterinarian doesn't just pull up to these people and fix whatever problems they have? Because, you know, farmers run into ingrown nail problems with horses and births and all this stuff. But they were having to take these horses and commute them into the city to the veterinarian. And I said, why don't they just create a mobile veterinarian and have the vet come out to the farmers and all that stuff? And the dude was just like, how do you even think about that? But me and my parents swear to God to this day that he took that shit.
He's somewhere with $1 billion.
Like, oh, definitely.
Yeah, this is like 1998.
Yeah, he definitely took
90,
that. Like,
97. Like,
because mobile businesses wasn't even a thing. Like,
no, it wasn't even a thing. No, it wasn't anything. But yeah, so I've always kind of had a mindset of doing entrepreneurial things. And like I said, it's mostly driven from my parents. Even to this day, my dad's always like, he's always like, I got this idea. He always just talks about different ideas that he comes up with, you know. So I think it's definitely, you know, motivated by my parents, but I've always had an early hunger to like try and be independent. And make my own money.
Yeah, financial independence has always been important to you. I remember, you know, even you going to the league and coming and now being enrolled into the business school at Texas is like, not a lot of people do that. You know, not a lot of people just are accomplished at something, boom, be in a comfortable place where, you know, they made some money and be like, nah, I think I wanna be better. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people do that. So,
yeah. And I think like even getting to where you got, you know, there's so much in the story just through getting to UT, getting to the NFL, and then your journey there, you know, me kind of like diving into it. It feels like along the way you were an underdog at times, and you were put in positions where you were the underdog and you shined and you were able to create a successful run.
Don't forget, I'm not from Texas now.
Yeah.
So that in itself it was not, you know, going in the locker room, niggas wasn't like, yo, Lamarr, what's up? They was like, that nigga from Colorado.
And you came the year after Vince?
Yep.
Right?
The year after VY.
So it's like Texas is Texas. Like it's as big as it's ever been, you know?
It was only me and my best friend, and the only two cats the whole time that weren't from there.
Yeah.
Out of 26 kids that were in our class, we were the only 2 kids that weren't from there.
And then
every time there was discussions about like what best high school it is and where's the best football at, we weren't even really allowed.
And you're from what? You're like, I'm from Doherty High School in Colorado.
You know, we
that's what all my teammates would say. They're like, oh, were you from Doherty, Colorado? You know they used to say about me.
What?
They used to be like, yo. I used to be like, yo, I had 300 yards in the game, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, like who'd you play against?
Man, I didn't want to hear about them little kids you were playing out.
It was like me. You were bulldozing. I was trying to tackle you, and I was the linebacker. I wasn't even the cornerback. You know.
See.
Yeah.
But now, see, I played Nate Soldier in high school.
Yeah. No. But yeah, nobody was trying to hear none of that, though. It was like,
Nate Soldier. I think Nate Soldier still plays, maybe.
Oh, he did.
Nate Soldier. Yeah, he went to Columbine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I played Nate Soldier in high school. He was big as fuck.
Yeah, that's what Colorado really was known for.
Yeah.
Like, Columbine.
Yeah, Columbine.
Yeah. No, because and then you're even saying like you switched from linebacker, which you're probably more naturally sized for. You're getting on the line, not only defensive end, you're playing D tackle, which is like people think of like the biggest person on the field is D tackle, you know, right?
Yeah.
It's like you had to fight through a lot of those hurdles to keep going, and then to even go through your rookie contract to get that Bears contract, which I want to hear about too. Like, I want to hear about that journey going from Oakland to the Bears, and how you made that decision, and also like how tough getting into the league is, right? Which I think y'all always, you know, Payne always tells me about, and I've heard a lot about, but then taking that first contract and leveraging it essentially, and working hard enough and creating enough success to get that, you know, the second one that you were able to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's in itself is just from the beginning it was a journey, because I was supposed to be drafted like 5th, 6th round. Going to my senior year, I was like underrated D tackle because I just moved over to D tackle. I had a decent junior year, but I didn't have a bunch of sacks. We missed the natty. We missed the natty by a game, so we went to Fiesta Bowl. So, you know, the competition they claimed was like so. Even though we played Ohio State and they had like Alex Boone and all those guys, Beanie Wells. Coming to my senior year, you know, shit, I ain't gonna lie, it was like, fuck, I gotta go against Gerald McCoy and Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah,
like, what?
That was it. that was it.
They both got all the hype. They on TV all the time. It's everything everybody's talking about. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I got 2 of the best D tackles in the country in my league. We missed the natty by a year. We lose Rackpo. We lose Roy Miller. We lose Bobineau. We lose a lot of guys on defense. So it was like, shit. First, we got to make it happen that we go into the natty. You know? Yeah. Then I gotta make sure that I'm playing, if not as good as Ndamukong and Gerald McCoy, better. So, you know, my whole mindset was just like it's got to be done. Like this is a no bullshit time. Like this has to get done.
Yeah.
So by the time my senior year ends, like we go into the Big 12 game, you know, I'm leading our league in sacks. I'm leading in tackle for a loss, you know, tackles and D tackle. You know, we go in there, we have a great game against Nebraska, we win, but Ndamukong Suh obviously does his thing, and he stacks up some more stats than me. So I fall behind 4 sacks. You know, he had a great game.
He had a great game. I've never seen nothing like that before. I never seen nothing like that before.
I've seen in person. Yeah,
I ain't never seen that play that good.
Individual effort.
Yeah,
but
crazy.
So he had a monster game. We go to the natty. It's like, okay, this is it. Like you want to go to the league, you want to get drafted first round, like you want anything done, you gotta do something in this game. Like you can't go into this game and go home and your name's never been called out, or you never make it. So, you know, I go into that game, get the first sack of the game, you know, get a couple tackles for a loss, you know, ball out. In all with all that, having one of the best games Texas in my career. I mean, best senior at Texas in my career. Having better stats than first round draft picks. I'm still projected to be 5th, 6th round draft pick. Just because they're not sure. So I just, you know, after the natty, I just stayed and started going to work. You know, train for the combine, you know, was just grinding every day, you know, working with other cats who, you know, some are still playing, some haven't been playing in a while. And, you know, I got drafted by Oakland 2nd round. I was grateful. You know, I was happy I got to go to the draft at the Rockefeller Center. You know, that was historic for me and my family.
Well, how do you think that time between playing in the national championship and getting drafted, what do you think were some of the big factors that kind of helped your stock or whatever, quote unquote, go from projected fifth or sixth to second? Obviously, I think, like you said, big senior year, big national championship game, those things were important. But in between that time of the game ending and the draft coming about, like, you know, what were some of the things you were doing and that you think kind of helped, you know, really push that along?
I think because I showed up at the combine like 310, but I was running like a DN.
Yeah.
So I ran 4.8 flat, and then just was like, all my agility stuff was just like crazy. I jumped like 10 and a half long, like standing broad jump. You know, my vertical was like 33 and a half inches. So like my numbers were just like, damn, this dude's like 310, he's running 4.8 flat, broad jumping damn near almost 11 feet, 33 and a half inch vertical. He benching 30, I did 30 reps. So he's like, you know, my stats at the combine were just like, you couldn't ignore it. And then when you go back and look at the tape, after you see my stats, it's like, okay, like this dude could actually play. Yeah. So I think that's what really changed a lot of teams' minds about, you know, where my draft stock was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like being able to, like all that work you've done up to that point, but then also showing up and being like in front of people's faces, showing them that you are ready physically to play in the league too, you know, and not just like doing it at the collegiate level.
Because also, how many interviews did you do during the process too? Do you interview with every single team or?
I did the Jets because I remember getting into a Rex Ryan, and then I did the Vikings and I did the Titans.
Yeah,
because that coach Burns, he's a really good D-line coach. I remember meeting with him. But yeah, I did like 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah,
but I didn't meet with the Raiders though.
That's interesting that you didn't meet with them. But they was like, yo. Yeah,
and when I took my visits, I went to DC, to the Redskins. So I seen Yakpo, and then went to the Vikings, and then I think that was really the only 2 trips I took.
So what? So while you were in New York, what team did you think was gonna pick you up?
Well, the Redskins told me they wanted me to pick me up in first round, but they still wanted me to gain like 20 pounds.
Damn,
and I was like, cool. But
what does that? What does that mean?
Gain 20.
They wanted me to be like 330 and play nose, and I was just like,
And I'm not like an expert on the NFL or football in general, but isn't it kind of just like asking you to do something unnatural at that point? It's like you've proven you're a beast at your size and you're switching positions and you're keeping up with the best. So then asking you to put on 20 pounds, like what is that? Does that come in like eating a lot or like lifting more? Like what is the expectation?
It would be eating, lifting more, everything. It would be dietary and training. Like you can't put on weight, healthy weight, unless, you know. I mean, you can throw on some weight.
Oh, you can.
You can throw on some weight. Sure. So, but if you want to put on a healthy weight, you have to change your whole diet and your training together.
What was the culture like locker room wise? Like coming from a Texas locker room to like the pro locker room, like what was that like?
You know what? Honestly, the crazy part is like Oakland before it got like corporate, before Al Davis died, it was very like Texas locker room, like these dudes are your friends, you know, these are your boys, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm still, you know, cool and close with a lot of my Oakland Raider teammates.
That's what's up.
You know, some of my Chicago teammates too, but you know, the Oakland Raider locker room is more like a college locker room. Like we all here together, you know, we're here for this purpose, you know, we're here to play.
Makes sense because the fans are so crazy. They like college fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the culture around it. You know, it's a very like family-based organization, and it's what they preach, and it's how they treat their players.
Definitely,
it's how the fans are. So that was more like Texas. When I got to Chicago, it was more
like a business.
Like, this is the NFL. Like, your locker's going to be next to Jay Cutler. It's like. I don't want to lock her next to Jay Cutler.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like people really treating it like a job. They picking up their check.
You know, they got lunches.
They don't care if they really
and all kind of stuff. Like you got to come to the gala. Like I don't want to go to the gala. We have no gay list for the Raiders. I wasn't smoozing rich people, but it was different though. It was different. I enjoyed playing in Oakland because the fans are there. The camaraderie between the teammates was better. It was more about football and more about winning than it was about, checks and all this other stuff and all that stuff.
And so with the Raiders, you played throughout the whole contract, went to free agents, and then went to the Bears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I played 4 years in Oakland.
Yeah.
What were the driving decisions behind going to Chicago, and what were your options kind of like at that time?
Well, I think it came down to just Chicago. It was either there, I think it was there, Seattle, and the Vikings were kind of going back and forth about, who was going to sign me. Simple, shit. Football's not long. I had to get paid.
Yeah.
And then, I felt like the Raiders were trying to keep me cheap the whole year, especially by making me play on another side of the ball where I never played before, and I still had a great year.
Yeah.
And so even with that, and them trying to get me to have a mismatch where I don't get my sack numbers up enough to get paid, it's just like I'm going to get paid more over here, and they have a better history, and they actually were in the playoffs last year and did great, and they actually had the number one offense in the league. So it was like, lo and behold, that was Josh McCown, though.
But it made sense at the time.
That detail. Nobody want to say that detail when Jay Cutler.
Made sense at the time.
Picks and shit. But that was a determining factor. It's just like, these guys aren't going to pay me, and I have a family to provide for. I have a future to look out for. Like Philip says, everybody knows football is going to stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you play 20 years, 2 years. There's a point it's going to stop. So with that in mind, it's like you have to get the most money you can possibly get. And if they're not going to pay me after they try to dick me around and make me cheaper, and I still balled out, then I definitely need to part ways and go somewhere else where they can support me.
And it's so funny because fans and stuff, and like even some people in the football organization are like, he's money hungry, he's
that's
like
bullshit.
Being disloyal. Like,
no, you're playing the best football of your life.
They get paid millions of dollars. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, these owners of the NFL, like, they will try to get you cheap if they can get you cheap.
I mean, you're already
cheap
talking
as possible.
Yeah, they care about you. They care about you to not pay you enough.
Of course.
Yeah,
for sure.
Of course.
It's business. Yeah, it's a business. And from a founder standpoint, I'm trying to make my product as cost effective as possible.
100%.
That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
And and that's the great thing about football is you learn a lot about business.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention to the situations around you, your situation, your teammates' situations, you kind of understand, how to demand, performance from product that you're either, supplying resources to or creating yourself. So, it's a good learning lesson on how real business and big business works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I think, so I was watching a bunch of videos the other day, and basically all your highlights, and I'm seeing you kind of had the same celebration after every sack, right? So I'm gonna dive into the topic of you're halfway through your season in Chicago, you sack Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're down 20 points, fourth quarter, first sack of the season, and you do the same celebration you always do, right? You tear your ACL, and you get some backlash because you're celebrating, and you quote unquote let your teammates down, right? When you're celebrating a sack against the Patriots quarterback and you're down 25 points. So me going into it,
his backup.
Yeah, the backup, right? It's not Tom Brady. If it was Brady, it'd be more acceptable.
They would have been like, all right, yeah, you good.
Yeah, you know.
Yes,
But I'm looking at it like, what football player doesn't celebrate a play? What football player and also the amount of pressure you've put on your body, you both know, over the years. Now you're changing positions. You're playing at positions you're not naturally sized for. You're going hard. You're 4 years into the league. You sack the quarterback.
And how hard it is.
That's
to
your
get to him
biggest
too.
stat.
Hard.
You're saying that you're going to get under. They're moving you to a position in Oakland that's going to give you less sacks so they could underpay you. So you're getting paid off of sacks. So you celebrate the same celebration. This is like clockwork, right? So I want to just hear about where your head's at the time, because I'm imagining that you're like, you got to say certain things and you gotta apologize. But it's like, I'm looking at it now like that's bullshit in my opinion. And maybe you don't agree, but I'm like,
I'm trying to get
it happened.
I
got injured, but the whole thing for me is like, I'll never regret it because everybody was talking so much shit because I had no sacks.
Right.
But mind you, no one's paying attention that they made me. I was just playing outside linebacker in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm moving back to a 3-4. I got to play 3-4 end again, put my hand back in the dirt. Which obviously I'm more comfortable standing up.
Yeah.
Now I go back from playing outside linebacker to DN to they want me to play D tackle on third downs when I'm 265.
Yeah.
I'm not 310 Lamarr no more.
No,
like,
you can get moved up
4
out
years
of there.
later. I'm 265. Now I'm taking on double teams from 2 niggas every third down. Everybody else getting sacks, getting the one-on-ones. So I'm eating up 2 people, and there's 3 other players. They getting their one-on-ones. They getting sacks. Oh, yeah. And now my teammates now, the offensive linemen that are my teammates and other people, they come to me, they go, you know what, Lamarr? It's crazy because everybody's talking shit, but we all know that everybody's getting those sacks because of you. Because you're eating up the double team and everybody's getting that clean one-on-one. Everybody knows that. It just sucks that the fans are going to talk shit about you because you have a 0 on your stat sheet.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I know. It does. So then by this time, this is 8 games in, I got 0 sacks. I got paid. So everybody's looking at me like, you have no sacks. You got paid.
Yeah.
I get the 1 sack and then I get hurt.
Yeah.
And so now everybody's like, oh, look at this. We got this guy, he just gets a sack celebration. We're getting blown out.
Yeah.
But for me, at the moment, the sack was more than just like,
it was more than just like
losing.
For the
it was
game.
like, damn, I got a sack, and finally, motherfuckers shut up. But and I get the season rolling. But I got hurt, and shit. Hey, they made a billboard in Chicago, but Houston, we have a problem. You can see the billboard when you drive downtown and shit. And, the whole stadium laughed in New England, and so it was a lot of motivation for me to come back and just come back right.
Oh, for sure.
Which you did, right? Like
next,
what was the? So how did you come back from that, and how did you go into that next season the way you did?
So I really just focused on completely getting my body right. I did a lot of Pilates, dieting, just really went there, just, stayed rehabbing, stayed focused, and just, by the time the season came, I was ready. But, the situation I was in, it was like, as soon as I got hurt, it's business. These niggas, they went and got somebody paid him $5 more million than me. He played the same position. So basically, they're trying to get rid of me. Yeah. And then, so, halfway through the season, they try not to let me play. I'm not playing 8 games. They, we want you to rest and this and that. And I'm like, cool, but you want me to practice, but I can't play no games and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. Just I had my total faith in God that, something would happen. And I got my opportunity and went there and got 8 sacks in 8 games, led the team to like a sack record year, and led the team in sacks, and just was one of the best years of my career. So, I was very excited. I was very happy and very proud about that because, it took a lot of personal dedication, a lot of personal belief, and never giving up on myself to even get to that point where I was going to be able to play again. Because obviously everybody's telling me, all kind of stuff. When it comes to injuries. So
that you won't be able to do it the same way, and probably that you'll be limpy and won't be So to be able to shut them up, that feel good.
Just and then believing in true innovation. I took a route where I was doing a new form of ACL surgery at the time, and it wasn't the common surgery that people were doing. So, I took the risk of believing in innovation.
Yeah,
it paid
worked
off.
out.
And then, what about the second ACL tear? Was that the same one?
No, it was the other knee.
Damn.
So, I hurt my other knee. I get blown up by Jason Peters. And then, again, it's like, okay, I'm back here in the same spot. I have to come back and prove that I can play. And I came back, team rushed me to play. I didn't want to play as early as they tried to make me play. Made me play early. Then they made me play in the last preseason game. I'm 10 months post-op. They made me play the whole fourth preseason game with no subs. And it's just like, when you're 10 months post-op ACL surgery, you definitely shouldn't play a pro football game a whole game with no subs. No one plays a whole game of football with no subs since high school.
Yeah,
that's just, you can't do that shit.
I don't care what y'all trying to test out and see if I can go. You ODing on that.
Is it about testing you out, or is it? And maybe you can't answer this, or is part of it about there's money?
I think it was more to put me at risk because there's money on the line.
Yeah.
And that's what it was about. They owed me $8.5 million still, and they didn't want to pay it because they felt like I was worth $3 million.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't take $3 million, so they're gonna take my 8.5 all the way.
Yeah.
Because then I go and like hurt my meniscus. They cut me.
Yeah.
Right. I get picked up by Houston. I go in there balling, scoring touchdowns. They cut me, and then I come back to the same team for $800,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they let me play the game, and then as soon as I started balling the game, they're like, "Ooh, we got to start making sure you only play certain packages." Like, okay.
Right.
Because they got to pay you. The better that you do, the more that you got to pay. So it's like,
and it'll look foolish of them for them to cut somebody and then come back and let him ball out of control and have all these sacks. Because then I still end up having like 4 sacks in 5 games. Even after that.
Yeah. So where along the way, and maybe it's earlier than this, where along the way is your mind thinking about kind of all the stuff that you want to do post NFL? Because the way I'm looking at your career is like you're going from Oakland to Chicago, you're balling out, you've clearly shown that you're capable of playing at this level, at a high level at this level. And I'm sure you're thinking football like constantly, and that's all your time really has for, maybe not. But where do you start also making the shift into all the things you want to do after, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those things.
One day I was in Oakland. We had a guy, he was like our Weezy, like George.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically player liaison for, the NFL players in the league. They give you like, movers advice, travel advice, or insurance help, any kind of situation you need help with. This person is normally the person who helps you. So one day, the end of the season, they're talking about these boot camps. And they're like, yeah, we have these free boot camps you can go to. All you got to do is apply. You can take classes at the top colleges in the country with the best professors. Just come on by, stop by, and see what it's about. A lot of people just don't really pay attention to it. And I started taking those courses. I first went to Stanford for a small business course. Probably my second or third year in the league. I met a couple guys that I'm still friends with. Actually, Stephen Tulloch is one of my good friends. I met him at that small business course workshop at Stanford. And then after that, by the time my last year came around in Oakland, I went to the franchising bootcamp in Michigan, where you learn about franchises and what their upfront cost is, and what the fees are surrounding it, and how to get one, and how to maintain one, and all that stuff. And then I actually took the personal finance one at Notre Dame. That's where I met my business mentor, Mr. Pivnaka, he's just a renaissance of a guy. He has homes and home and gardens. He's the ambassador, him and his wife, the ambassador for the Czech Republic, and they own the home that the old president of Stanford lived in the Woodlands in California, in the Bay Area. I took that class. That was 2011. Yeah, then I did the franchising class, and then I did another personal financing class at the University of Miami. So probably about my second year in the league, I just started looking at the other opportunities that they offer with educating yourself and just learning more. Just because I've always knew, obviously football's going to end, but I'm damn sure not going to go work for anybody else. So I want to figure out how to, start some kind of business or maintain some kind of business to create, a stream of revenue that can constantly come in. So I just started trying to, pick up as much knowledge as I can through these courses they were offering, and, they were free courses. So it's like, why not?
Yeah. No, it's incredible, especially I think that early on in your career when you're playing the way you were playing and the way the seasons were shaping up, to think that you were thinking already post football. Like also knowing that if you kept it up, you were probably going to come across a big contract. So I kind of thought that maybe a lot of this, the beginning of this, or you really being more proactive in terms of your business ventures, would come post ACL injury. That's just kind of what I assumed going into this. So it's cool to hear how early it was kind of going on. And another thing I think of is like, you have, as a football player, and it's like, Payne and I talked a couple weeks ago about like even being in high school and the way that, being like a superstar in high school, right? And then playing at UT, coming right off of their national championship. It's like you have access, like you've gotten to this place where you have access, and now you're in the league, and the league has certain doors that can open, and you're an NFL player. So people just want to sit with you, right? Like they don't even, it is what it is. And to be able to take advantage of that, which I think is you're right, and you've earned that, and all of those aspects, is like something that I think probably, I'd imagine a lot of athletes could and should think about, is like, what doors are open to me?
Because I definitely don't think, when kids come in, that they're thinking about the actual network and relationships that they can actually build and nurture while they're in the position that they're in, because you're just so thinking about the right now and playing and being,
chasing,
what I'm saying? But you're not thinking about how I can build a relationship with this person who is the head of Fiji, or the head of SE, or the head of, wherever these fraternities, these prestigious schools inside of,
I mean, it's like you got to take classes at Stanford, Miami, Notre Dame, Michigan, you got to do all of that. And I think like not only most people are focusing on the sport, but then also like they're getting certain attention. So it's like, I'm getting attention for this one thing. How do you dive into something else that maybe you're not an expert in, but you're just starting out in, and going into it, which is, I think is really impressive. And, I'd love to talk about just some of the stuff you're working on now. I know you have League Ventures, you have Easy Vending, and I'd love to just kind of dive into some of that and hear sort of like where it's all at.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So League Ventures is an angel investing group I started about 2 years ago with my old teammate from Oakland, Des Bryant, the D lineman, not the wide receiver, because people always get that misunderstood. But no, we started an angel investment group where it's about teaching players how to leverage their brand in order to get access to different opportunities where they can learn to invest with, founders and companies themselves instead of, putting their money in a fund and having to pay a management fee as well as paying a different carry fee. We built a pipeline of access to where players can, choose companies that they're comfortable with inside of their own thesis, or, be mentored by us and borrow our thesis so they can invest and continue to grow. We were going to put on workshops, and our first workshop was going to be April 2020, but obviously COVID stopped that. So, we have just been working on following up with the companies we've invested in and just making sure we can support them as much as needed and introduce them to if they need to and help them grow and scale so they can be successful. But, as far as Easy Vending, that company's been developing great. We're making some awesome milestones. We have some great board of advisors around us. And I think by the time the summer rolls around, we'll have some pretty unique betas out in the market that people will start to notice.
Yeah. Can you explain the business model a little bit and why, you guys think that it's an important business model in that space?
So it's a contactless transaction. In the verticals it can be in 7 verticals. It could be, COVID test on college campuses. It could be, pharmaceutical vending machines in front of CVS that serve Plan B. It could be cannabis. It could be canned wine, at a resort in a machine. It could be canned wine in a Dave & Buster's, where people are playing with their kids. And the whole idea about it is solving the solution of express payment, as well as in a cost-effective manner where the owners can save on their employees and their build-outs of different housing and industries. So, for example, if you're the owner of a dispensary, it's going to cost you probably about $1.5 million just to build out the inside of dispensaries with the shelves, the safes and all this stuff that actually houses the product when you walk in to view it. Along with that, you're talking about the cost of employees, their health insurance, their paid leave, their vacation and their sick time off and all that stuff. When you couple all that versus having 2 or 3 machines in a room with a security guard and a receptionist, your cost is dramatically dropped and cut tremendously just by using technology to service people and having them streamlined through the door, as opposed to coming in and talking to a bud tender who's going to cost you about $17.5 an hour, $19.50 an hour.
Right.
So the whole idea behind the machines is to solve. Our original idea was to solve the wait times at dispensaries, and we've actually grown and pivoted to be able to offer a contactless solution for several industries.
I think COVID, and I'd love to hear from your perspective and what y'all are working on, but has probably only made the demand for that higher. Even just getting like products out of machines. Like I know somebody who's created a whole business this year selling, gloves and masks and stuff. And one of the things they're focusing on is how to put these items into machines and where to place these machines everywhere. And then I think just in the cannabis space, it's like, I don't, I've been into a few dispensaries and it's like when they're like, yo, we're the Apple store of dispensaries. I'm like, why do I care? Like, honestly, why do I care? I'd rather just go get it out of a machine, it's like,
the thing is, like, honestly, it's like for those people who, are veteran smokers and smoke, I smoke, I smoke all the time. So I don't really need to talk to a bud tender to understand what strain, what THC percent, what THC level I'm trying to purchase. I know what I want. I know I like sativa. I know I want my THC level to be 30% or higher. So, I'll do like 28, 27, but I don't need to sit with somebody and
Give me the
debate about
rundown.
what I'm about to smoke.
Yeah, I
The
don't
other
care.
thing about the industry in cannabis is well for our vending machines because, the common consumer in cannabis is like, they're not coming in here to buy a pound of tree.
No.
Yeah.
They're not coming in the dispensary. You can't buy a pound. No one's coming to buy an ounce. Like, people don't come to spend that kind of money on marijuana.
No.
They come to get a joint. They come to get an eighth. Come to get an edible. Call it a day. They're not buying in bulk at the shop.
No.
So if that's the case, the most expressive manner is to have somebody come in, take 5 seconds to get into a machine, purchase, and just leave.
Yeah.
Like, you're increasing your foot traffic flow by just that express sales option, as well as what the way our machines are designed. We have ad space on the machine to play constant videos for your brands to empower your brands that you're selling.
Oh, that's dope.
So it gives brands their own platform to produce their own commercials, produce their own coupons, and as well as they can sell their own items off the shelves like lighters, papers, all kind of different things.
Yeah, it's dope. It's like creating real estate for them. And if you put these in enough places, they're getting seen on a wide scale. Do you feel like COVID has? Are you guys like? Are you out like in the world? Like, do the machines exist out in the world yet, or where's the kind of?
We have a Gen 1 machine actually that we have in LA. It's the first 24-hour vending machine. It's out there in LA in Chatsworth at the marijuana factory. I'm actually going to go tomorrow to work on it and get it all set up. But we've had 5 machines on the market. They were our Gen 1 machines. We recalled all of them. Left one Gen 1 machine in the market for a 24-hour beta that we're testing. But we have new machines coming out in July and August that are going to be these Gen 2 machines that are going to be just awesome.
Yeah, because now everything is opening up, especially, and people are excited to get outside. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's something that they can be like.
The other thing is because our machines are can be custom wrapped and custom designed, once it goes federal, it's like we can also offer, artists at their concerts a machine with their brands, with their strains sitting at their concerts where they can make money off their own stuff.
That's what we do.
So, and obviously when, concerts and stuff come around like Coachella and things like that, we could have, several machines at the Coachella just with different brands and different things, like Ken and all those different kind of, Ricky Williams brand and different things like that, just sitting at different venues and events, collecting money.
Yeah. Hopefully one day in airports too, just in a place like walk by the Best Buy machine, it would make a lot of sense.
Because this machine has biometrics on it and it's age restricted, so you can put it anywhere and it's impossible for somebody underage to use it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I was asking Payne yesterday, I was kind of talking to him about it, and I wanted to bring this up with you too. So you're saying like you're a regular smoker, and these machines obviously service that business. And I was asking Payne too, what impact you think playing football and taking the amount of hits you've taken, putting your body what you've put through, do you directly link football to smoking regularly? Is kind of just where I'm getting at.
No.
Okay.
I'm not finna try to blame injury and shit.
Right.
I'm just one of those niggas like to smoke because that's mostly people in the NFL, dog. They want to try to link it so it don't look, so they can be politically correct. It's like, nah, bro. I just want to chill.
Yeah.
I just want to chill. I just want to smoke. That's all. No, I understand it.
Now, football does leave you with your injuries. Obviously, I mess up my knees, and so I try to take care of my body. But it's smoking is not something that's smoking doesn't alleviate pain. It doesn't alleviate pain. And if you have headaches, it's not going to calm your headaches.
Yeah.
If your shit broke, it's still broke.
Yeah, it's broke, it's broke.
Yeah.
Little weed ain't fixing shit, trust me. I had knee surgery and you know how people are like, oh yeah, you smoke a little weed, shit kills everything.
Yeah, no way.
My shit's still on fire.
Yeah. Now you're just high, but you're also in pain.
So the pain's a little more intensified, like, oh, this really, really hurts.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Because I feel, I think it's like the common, I'm always just curious, like how many, I know like a lot of people in the world smoke. And I think about like the amount of people my neighbor smokes. This person smokes.
Mad
like,
people. You're like, what?
Yeah, but of course there's I don't know if it's a stigma or a stereotype or whatever, but with football players or especially athletes, but football players, it's so intense because it's like, and I'm sure it could help, in a lot of ways. And I'm sure like the NFL, like becoming less restrictive with their policies, probably something that made a lot of people happy, but I'm always just kind of curious.
But, I mean, they didn't really do anything. They just lowered the THC level. They said that you can't get your money taken.
Right.
But all the rules are still in place.
But they decided, I guess it's more predictable to find out when you're going to get tested now. So you can, no? I thought it was like
it was predictable last time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. You only get tested. You can only get tested 2 times a year. Like one's during OTAs and the other one's training camp.
Got it. Yeah.
You just, if you're failing, you're really stupid. You really have a problem. You're just stupid.
Yeah.
you're just dumb. Like Josh Gordon failed a bunch of times. Like, yeah, bro, come on, just stop smoking for 21 days.
Well, there was a guy on the Cowboys that was just like, "Yo, I'm retaring. Like if I can't smoke when I want and how I want, I'm retiring."
I don't know if I would let it get in front of my money like that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
No,
but I get my bread.
I'll stop for the days that big need stop.
Yeah. Yo, I don't want to keep
just
you
don't have no self-control
for too much longer. We good. Like this is perfect. We did it, guys. We did it. We're at a good time where we can wrap it up. And I wanna again thank you. Thank you for doing this with me, bro. I really appreciate you. Troy, again, thank you.
Nah, thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me. Lamarr, we got to play basketball again soon.
Please.
I just want to know, last time we played, I was training. Like, I'd been training at that point, so I want both apologize.
That's what I'm about to say. Last time we played, I wasn't training, but I've been working out now.
Good. So then next time we play, then...
I've been running hills and stuff. Like, next time I play basketball, I'm like this.
I was going hard. Like, that was the peak of my, my last year of basketball. No, but I think... let's do this again in like a year and find out where everything's at with everything you're working on. We'll check back in, and I want to hear more about League Ventures and Easy Vending and see how that's progressed, because I think you're on like this next journey that's so exciting and inspirational for a lot of people.
Thanks, man. I'm excited. I'll be ready to give you an update.
Let's do it.
Appreciate y'all.
Shout out Easy Vending.
Let's go. Shout out Easy Vending. We'll plug it in send us the link. We'll plug it for our 12 subscribers.
Hey, one soul brings in minis.
That's all I'm talking about, man. We're gonna get there. All right, appreciate y'all.